Yeah, this one it's made for, so it has actually perfectly cut out around it. Yeah. I was specific on the ones. I always go after I get a new phone, make it part of my process to go and look for a new screensaver.
Damn it!
I gotta move that forward. I'm sorry. Not have this ready.
Earthquake! 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 Earthquake!
Gotta have my monitor set up.
I know. Totally
helps me keep track because then I can see which one I need to check on the comments on.
What is up?
What's up, everybody? We're back for another fun Wednesday.
Yep. Whatever we want. Whatever we want
Wednesday.
Whatever we want Wednesday.
Whatever we want Wednesday.
I gotta crack this open.
Wait, you do you.
I'll crack this one open.
Crack them both open, drink them both at the same time. You can get them all Stone Cold style, slam them together and just chug them, you know?
Right.
As a kid, when he would come out and just like be holding beers and slam together and just, that was like, dude, this guy's way cooler. And then like you think about like dudes who actually like drink beer like crazy like that. There's like, oh no, those guys aren't probably the greatest dudes to hang around with.
You wonder if half those were actually beer.
I don't know. I'm sure for a while, like, he probably, when he was younger, maybe before he got to WWE, if he did anything like that. I know he used to have hair and stuff like that, you know, but
maybe it was that seltzer water.
But it might have been ones that are just like water in a can like that to make it look like it, or like something to like make it look foamy and stuff like that too. But the 90s were a wild time, you know. You never know. You never know.
They were a very wild time. I grew up in the 90s, and that was crazy.
What's up, Neil?
Hey, Neil. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, I was born in 91, so, you know, I got to experience, my childhood was through the 90s and stuff, which was really fun.
I graduated in 93. Grew up in the 80s, fun times.
Yeah, I mean, the 80s were blast.
Everyone misses the 80s.
Everybody talks about the 80s as like it was like the golden time to be like American. Yeah.
It was. I know I spent 3 of it in Iceland, where 3 channels, and only went outside a lot. But I experienced other people's cultures out there in Iceland, which was the best time. Even as a kid, I remember some of them, so that was a good thing.
Well, and you got to experience some of the lore of Iceland and some of the monsters, the cryptids, you know, the spirits and the things that are maybe haunted out there. You got to hear about some of those legends and lore.
Like you said, Iceland's closely related to the Viking.
Yeah, because they came over. That Norse and Nordic, you know, stuff.
Norse and Nordic came right over.
A lot of pagan things.
Oh, yes. And then their gods and Loki and
Thor, Odin, all those. I mean, now you think of those, you think of the Marvel movies.
I guarantee you still like the old. It's like, oh, we're going to Valhalla. It's like their version of heaven. If Odin didn't like you, you're not going to Valhalla. You're going.
I've said it before on a show. I haven't battled in enough battlefields to go to Valhalla, so I gotta hope that that's not the only thing to pass on to in the next life.
I'm sure it wasn't, but I'm sure that back then it was what they believed. You die in battle with honor, you go to Valhalla.
Who's to say that Valhalla isn't a realm that if you prayed to those gods and those, you know, spirits and everything like that, and you died the glorious death on you know, the battlefield with combat and everything, who's to say you wouldn't pass on to a location like that?
True. That's because I don't know if anybody watched Vikings, and I love that show.
Oh, I love Vikings. Yeah.
That was a great show, and how because of my favorite person on there, of course, was Floki.
Yeah, Floki is wonderful.
So on my game, I got on my tablet, the Raid Shadow Legends is Floki the Wise, because toward the end of that, he was getting to be like a prophet,
because he had seen so many like leaders that just were like assholes and like really just caught up in their own stuff, and he got to learn from all their mistakes, and he was also so connected to like the spiritual realm and stuff.
Oh, yes,
you know,
he
was very, very
connected to their gods.
Always was talking about the old ways, always talk about the gods.
He kept to their old ways, and that's why he kind of left and went to Iceland.
Hey, Mom.
So yeah, we're kind of talking about Vikings. If anybody haven't seen that series, it's a great series.
Well, and we're talking about some of the characters and stuff. Yeah,
but when Floki was in the battlefield, God, that guy was crazy nuts good.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Then how that one guy died in a snake pit? That was horrible.
And I'm not sure if Loki was based on a real character, but obviously Ragnar is a real person. His sons,
was.
the legends of him and his
Oh my God.
sons, how their legends outshined his. But now, obviously,
Ragnar died how he died by the English.
yeah,
That snake pit. Whoo, baby. That was one harsh torture. Can I imagine getting thrown in a pit like that and be bitten by all those venomous snakes?
yep, and then die a pain-filled, venomous death. You know.
So that, I guess that was their form of torture back then. Those English were some cruel fucks.
Well, and there was literally people who probably that their whole job was just to create dark ways to torture people, you know?
And all the Vikings were trying to do is find new lands to farm. And Ragnar was the one who wanted to farm and whatnot, have new farmlands. And, increase his empire because they were great at sea in their boats and how they navigated the seas. It was awesome. But then his brother turned on and went to the France. He was a dick. But anyway, I don't think anybody liked him after that.
So
sorry, we're talking about Vikings.
No, you're fine, dude. We can talk about whatever we want because it's whatever we want Wednesday. And guys, we really just hope that you can pop in some stuff. We have a bunch of stuff we want to talk about.
Yes.
I know that I posted up a story, and we'll be talking about it a little later in the show, but about some of the stuff related to Salem, which we talked about exactly a week ago.
Yep.
And it's something that could be related to why some people were experiencing some of the hallucinations they were experiencing and why some of the children were having some of the problems they were having. So, stay tuned for that. It'll be a little bit later in the show. We'll make sure we'll get a couple of regulars are going to be pouring in here soon. So I definitely want to give them time to get in here before we get into all those stories.
Oh.
But yeah, so I have that coming up. And
whatever we want Wednesday, WWW Wednesday.
WW.
We kind of changed it up from what we were going to talk about because we want to kind of expand on everything.
We talk about a bunch of stuff.
The
story I have talking about Salem is actually going to be leading me right into talking about some stuff about some government projects and stuff. Right. I'm going to toss out the name already. I'm going to talk some MK Ultra and just a little bit of that kind of stuff. And what kind of experiments, there's some false legends around the whole MK Ultra, and there's some things that are definitely exaggerated, but there were real experiments that took place, and it is a real program that existed within the government. So I want to talk a little bit about that, but also it's just talking about some of the, I don't want to say lighter side of it, but not the dark heaviness that some people, if you're really, well versed in that, you're going to know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to get into that whole deep dark.
Oh no.
We're going to have a bunch of fun stuff up too. We had, Chris has been out popping around some old stuff and checking that out. We have a bunch of stuff to talk about on all kinds of cryptid topics.
Yeah. Because that latest one, I was out literally off the beaten path, literally. And this kind of...
Not metaphorically.
Literally off the beaten path. And it's the middle of a park. And I felt like on what I told you, very tall hill island because it was steep on all sides.
Yeah.
All three sides, and they're down in the ravine. I call it the little creeks that run on each side. And then I heard some unusual knocking. I'm always looking behind my back now.
Yeah,
more than ever because of the talks we had with Dave and Randy about cryptids, and the Bigfoots are in that area. And I heard some mysterious knocking that didn't sound like the usual woodpecker one, because those are loud and predominant in the woods.
Well, and yeah, that's one of those things you have to do when you're out there. You have to learn to differentiate and learn to focus on what's really something that could be looked into further. But you give anybody with any kind of degree in birds or certain sound bits, and they'll immediately be able to tell you exactly what you're listening to on certain occasions, because they're knowledgeable in that stuff too. And we always try to, make sure we're paying attention. I've been trying to learn as many of the Northeast Ohio birds and just the Ohio birds in general, yes, to know what kind of sounds I can be listening for, what kind of things like that, and also the other wildlife.
Yeah,
And Tracy, I saw you popped in there.
Hi,
Hey,
Tracy.
we're not ignoring you. Sorry, we're just in the stories right now. But I've tried to research some of those different wildlife and stuff to listen to, because I mean there's some birds out there that make some terrifying noises. If anybody has ever gone out hiking and has ever seen a oh man, crap, herring, yeah, a blue herring, yeah, those things when they take off, the herons, they make like the heron, yeah,
Yep.
and those things make this like demonic, like rah, rah. It's scary as shit.
Or I have the video coming out on my tube on Friday. I call it
the geese.
No, not.
Oh,
that was the bridge. That was a railroad bridge. That was the turkey buzzard.
Oh, that turkey buzzard. Yeah,
I had that coming
cool
out.
Looking, yeah.
Because in the later part, halfway through the video, you see 4 of them big old turkey buzzards, vultures flying around like I was food or something. It's like, I am not food. I'm plump, but I'm not food. Then as I pan away, walking backwards, because I pan up and zoom in on one dude. Well, first I heard the claws because it had this old farmhouse had a metal roof.
Yeah.
And you could hear it all the way back where I was. Then I was panning away, almost done filming. Yeah, I pan up and zoom in. There he was on that branch. And he was a big dude. I guess he was the dominant male in that flock. He was just eyeballing me.
Hopefully you didn't mess with him, because
no, I didn't mess with that dude.
Yeah, you don't want to get beat up by him,
No. Then was it the other? We're talking about nature. That same filming, scared away a wild turkey because it was making noise. Because this farmhouse also was on like a hill, and there's water and ravines. It was like a hill island that some of these houses and things were on. Then I hear, what is that noise? And then all of a sudden you hear the scampering. Then all of a sudden taking off. This wild turkey was big. It was like, okay, me and animals lately, especially bird nature.
Oh man,
don't like me.
Well, and we have a robin's nest in the tree in our front lawn right now, and if you walk too close to it while you're out there, oh man, the mother, she flips out. We're trying to keep our distance. I had to mow the other day and I had to make a quick pastoral past it, but yeah, she is not happy when you go by it, and I can't wait till those little guys are born so they can get up out of there.
We got probably a first timer here. Welcome, Ryan Summers. What's up? I love watching paranormal stuff, but personally I don't like to encounter something I can't see. 22 years of living, I have never lived in a haunted house, thank God.
Yeah, no, I mean, and we talk about that. Sometimes it's intense to think about something interacting with you that you don't see. Luckily, we've had interactions with things that we've never been able to debunk, and ones that were definitely like personal interactions that there was something there. Yep. That's less scary than a lot of just the people we tend to interact with sometimes in certain situations. Yeah.
Like some of the animals.
I tend to not worry so much about the spiritual or that kind of element. I'm more worried about the potential of like people or animals or
cryptids
or anything like some kind of big old creature or something. So
especially when
we talk about all kinds of those stuff. We get into all kinds of, like, we talk about the aliens and the UFOs as well as those, and we talk about like fae and fairy creatures, and like some of the things from old lore and folklore. We're definitely not like masters in any fields, but we try to keep our minds open and have a wide variety of things we research. That's why we have something like Whatever We Want Wednesday, so we can talk about whatever things just pop into our head. And we've been talking throughout the day and stuff. And
some of them, like we said, like the Explorers Investigations, I mean, you're not able to join, and you got to have your strong, mentally and physically, you got to be strong out there. Even with these explorers I do, just like the last one with the abandoned trucks, which is pretty cool. I'm proud of that video. But I was also watching out for all those noises and whatnot. And I was literally, went too far because someone pinpointed with the coordinates. I went too far. I'm literally walking in the middle of a forest with nothing but woods and mud. And you go, it's like, is something going to come out and tracking me or follow me? Because it wouldn't have been hard. I was making a bunch of noise.
Well, and, one of the scariest things I've ever done in any investigations, it wasn't anything related to a spiritual investigation. when I went on that Bigfoot hike.
Yes.
And I was out there in Mogador and everything, and I was trying to see, because it's one of the best areas that I've seen, and looking at the maps and looking at like the locations of large bodies of water compared to masses of land and wood and stuff.
Sorry, I hit my knee on the table leg.
And it's one of those places that I've looked into very much. And so I went out there, I hiked like 14 and a half miles out there. And man, at some points I was far enough away from the body of water, and I hadn't seen like a person fishing out there or something for at least like a half an hour or so. And it definitely gets eerie because I'm walking through, they're not like fully established hiking trails, just stuff people have created to like get to certain fishing spots, or to like, people who have tried to hike through there, and you can see kind of partial things. But like a whole like 6 mile stretch of the thing, I wasn't around a single other person. And that's kind of intense when you're out there alone like that,
Yeah, exactly. And we found something that someone shared with me from Abandoned Ohio on Facebook, Mr. Tony Bird. He showed me a map of all the burial mounds, and when you know it, where we've been exploring and investigating lately, there's one right out there, and there's no path to it. It's off the beaten path as well.
Yeah.
And they don't want people going out there. So we talked about going out there again, and that area is drawn to us now.
Definitely.
We're drawn to that area, just all the stuff.
Definitely.
Not just for the legends, but just the hauntings and locations, because everywhere could be a possible haunting or energy or spirits or cryptids. And now we found like a location for a burial mound out there that we want to go out there and explore. And I'm not going to do that alone, because it's probably one of those off the beaten hikes. I want to bring this guy along.
Yep. And I'll be out there for
that way we can have the buddy system out there, because some of them I do solo, but this one I feel that we need both of us there, because it's going to be off the beaten path as well, locating this. So
and that's how it works, like with these somewhat easier to
Hi
get
Charlene,
locations.
I'm sorry.
Oh, hey Charlene, what's up? With some of these easier to get to locations, or more public locations where you don't run the risk of being like too far out alone and things like that. You can head out there, by yourself. But like definitely when it comes to this stuff, we definitely have to pull together, and
especially on the other side of Jate that one time.
Yeah,
when we try to get to the other side of bridge on. Now I found the easier way now, so we don't have to go through that way anymore.
Yeah,
because that wasn't easy. Damn thorn bushes and whatnot.
Yeah,
Jesus,
sure.
I got some scratches from it. I got slapped by one in the face and I explored.
And I don't want you to have to go alone for sure. It's just like, unfortunately, things have been busy elsewhere. And the one day I was editing stuff so to make sure like we get some of the better content out for you guys, because I've been trying to keep those clip videos going out. And I got 2 up in the past week. One was from a couple of weeks ago, and then one was from the previous week. So it's a good way to see if you're new to the show, just kind of get a crash course. The one's like 2 hours long, the one's like an hour and a half long. But you also got to think that's from like the one is the 2 hour one is from 8 hours of live footage, and the hour and a half one is from 6 hours of live footage. So it's a lot to take down and stuff, and we talk about a lot of different stuff. It's hard to pull things away.
I do rewatch the Facebook one for the comments that we missed, and I do apologize. And
we always try to address them later too.
We always try to address them later if we don't catch them on the show.
Yeah.
Oh, Ryan has another. I've been to the haunted staircase. I think it's in Hooten, and I can't even say that. Can you read all that? It's in that weird county I can never pronounce right in Ohio. Tuscarawas.
Non-Hooten. Yeah. I'm gonna say non-Hooten.
I can never say.
Yeah.
That's in Ohio. That's a county.
And nothing happened. And Chris and I have talked about this a couple of times, Ryan. It's you got to get out to a location a couple of times, and that's where we think that like the more you get comfortable with the location, the more any of the spirits that are potentially there maybe get like exposed to you.
Yeah.
We think more potentially can happen, because we've definitely known a rise in activity as we've gone to locations.
If we've gone multiple times,
yep.
Yes. Sometimes it does happen. I mean, look what happened at Squire's Castle up there near to Cleveland. But I've been thinking about this one. You've been there a lot of times before, or you investigated with your friends before.
Yep, a couple times, yeah.
I've been up there before during the day, and we've been up there for a hike through the trails out there.
Yep.
So
we've been out there a couple times.
So
together,
maybe it recognized us from that, because I know spirits see,
and we've passed through there, you know.
or cryptids known people that have been there a lot, like me and him have in that certain location.
Well, there's a strong theory that's shown up in a lot of different investigation stuff, where the more you visit a location, the more the spirit has seen you or interacted with you. It has that better potential because you have a spiritual imprint yourself that you leave on a location, and we don't know exactly how the time works for these spirits and stuff. So it's hard to say if like they experience time like we do, where it's like day to day, they feel the full 24 hours of a day, or if multiple years might be just a day to them or something like that. So that relativity, we don't quite know exactly what it be. So going to those locations multiple times opens you up to that better interaction.
Sorry we butchered it, Ryan. I know. That's why I maybe call it T County sometimes, because I can never get it right. Normally people from my area can say it right. All good. Because we couldn't read the county right. I can never read that county right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
I know that's after a Native American word, I would do believe.
I'm not sure. Yeah, that's I struggle with some words sometimes.
Interesting enough, out by the township by Motley Stark, you turn on the road, it's some word that's Native American as well. Some township, what county, or not necessarily county, but township.
Gotcha.
As soon as you turn down that road, then that road. I'm going like this because that's all I remember. I don't remember the road.
That road and it's
turn right before that. There's a sign that has it. It's more. I research it. It's a Native American word.
Gotcha.
Out there. And that would make sense too. Why Molly Stark is kind of haunted, but it's got its own reasons. But what those old tuberculosis hospitals and mental hospitals that turn into mental hospitals has got a lot of energy and stuff in those stones, and what in the building itself still roaming around. Spirits still roaming around. I know that. Woo.
Yeah, it's definitely a wild location,
And I've heard from people looking on abandoned Ohio, because a lot of people go out there. There is a cop that lives across the street now in one of the houses, and they're keeping a stricter eye on that place. So if you do investigate that place, don't do like we did in the past. I'm just going to tell you that you can still investigate that area outside the walls. Or you can stick your hand in a window on the other building. Like I caught that shadow figure.
Yeah, you got the shadow figure on the outer
Maybe
building.
That's why we got so many on that YouTube. It's on the YouTube. We have the Molly Stark investigation. It's the one that's been the most viewed.
Yep.
About 800 plus views.
Well, because it's one of the locations that has
a lot of history.
A lot of people want information, and also it's hard to explore. So that also entices people as well.
It is very hard to explore, because they're watching you like a hawk, literally.
Well, that's how it always works,
Because at times they're going to have to realize maybe there's a reason why people keep coming out here. Yeah, because it's haunted.
And Charlene, we're definitely in the same mindset on that with the Native American mounds. We actually have a burial mound we're going to be trying to investigate soon enough. So
we found it out. I don't know if you were listening, but I was talking to a guy because if I share location, if you're going to respect the location that I'm part of this group of, then yeah, I'm happy to share it. But I share it on Messenger, because I'm not like some of those people. As soon as they see the video, where's this located? Where's this located? You don't talk to me like that. Yeah. You respect the location, ask me nicely, and I'll be happy to share. If you're going to respect the location, not vandal it or steal stuff or break stuff, then we thank you to Mr. Tony Bird. I know he's probably not watching, but I like to thank the person that shared that with me, because I shared where those trucks were. Yeah, because it was not exactly an address; it was coordinates. Trust me, because half I walked. I parked all the way down by the Jate. Those two buildings, because I wanted the risk of getting my car towed, because I know it's going to be out. I know, and walking up those hills and back down was easier. Walking up was a little.
Oh yeah.
People watch me like I'm going off the beaten path. People stop staring at me.
Yeah.
But we did. Otherwise, there is a burial mound that it's going to be off the beaten path. Old carriage trail, off the towpath trail up there in the Cuyahoga Valley National Parks. CVNP in the house.
Yeah,
always
that's
got
my
great.
favorite place.
Oh my God, there's so
I've
many.
hiked so many good trails through
So many good
the
trails,
valley,
so many explorers we done out there.
Yep.
Not necessarily Helltown, because I know everyone all bleeds in about Helltown. Yeah, it's great location. It's awesome. It's sad what happened to those people, but it's still a great hiking area. And there's also that old mill up there by the Brandyway Falls.
Yep.
They used to produce electricity for the town that used to be across the river.
It's in a wonderful spot. Yeah.
It's a wonderful spot. And yeah, there's going to be energy there because you're surrounded by water and a lot of stone. And
we talked about it while we were out by the paper mill bridge, and everything, and about how those kind of locations, definitely, if you were a spirit and had passed on, and you were still finishing up some business in the afterlife or in this life,
you feel that your business wasn't done.
So you want to be in a beautiful location too. I wouldn't want to be in a crappy location. We've talked about things being attached to objects, and that object, you never know where it's going to go. So if it's an object that's trapped in the destroyed rubble of an abandoned place or something like that, it's not as nice as a place where, if it's the abandoned bridge out there in the beautiful land, a spirit could sit there and look over all that beautiful land all the time.
Got that water flowing, got the geese yelling at you. They probably tell them to shut up.
Yeah.
Or they fly off. They understand what's going on.
They're the protectors.
They're the protectors out there. Or
thanks, Eddie.
Bigfoot. Oh yeah, thank you. I mean, we talk about a lot of that. That's by far that in the metro parks, like the Squires Castle and the park systems, still have great locations you can explore and hike. And some of them, the parks actually preserve the areas. Some of them, like the bridge or the paper mill, which I kind of understand because there's contamination still out there. They can't really do anything with that or open it up to public, because I did film a part where there was orange algae, and this will probably lead into your story.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. There was orange algae outside this pipe, and black water was flowing out of it still. So there was contamination, because when you're processing paper and all that stuff, you use chemicals and whatnot, and it was still in the water and pipes and whatnot in the area. I mean, it's crazy. Even by where we walked by, you can still see the little orange, because of the old.
Oh yeah, that's where it was flowing out. Yeah.
There's still orange algae. We don't touch it. Crazy. Oh, yeah. Charlena has a story.
Charlena had a story. Yeah.
You want to go ahead and read that?
Yeah, I can read that. Yeah. Charlena said, 20 years ago, when Route 9 was being extended, they had to halt construction because they found a mummified body buried with artifacts seated in an artifact chair with red hair. Was not Native American, but Caucasian from the same time Native Americans were thriving in the area. Kind of changes how we think of the ancient world. And that's also something that's very, very true. There's a story of there's a person who I believe back in the 70s, 1970s, not the anything other than that. Hey, John. There's a person who they built a craft, a small craft that any person could build. I mean, it was the simplicity of like the canoes the natives would have made, and something like that. But he was able to cross the ocean in that, proving that native people and other people could have gotten to it. So say like Vikings, there's always the what's his name? The Viking.
I'll go while you're thinking of it.
Is it Leif Erikson?
I think it's Leif Erikson.
Yeah, who was the Viking who they said he landed in America well before Christopher Columbus ever touched foot.
God, yes.
So I definitely think that's a great story. Thanks, Charlena.
Charlena says that's in Charlestown, West Virginia.
Okay. Well, we're not too far from there.
John says, stop by to say hello, working on some vids and stuff, but I'll try to listen. Great work, guys. Thank you, John. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much, John.
Looking forward to meeting you, sir. Anyway, Ryan's got, I have always thought if we see a rundown house, that there is a spirit there, even though the house is all run down. They still see it the way they did when they were alive. Exactly.
And that's true. Yeah.
Exactly. Going to bring up the Malik house.
Yeah.
That was one of our draining and intense investigations we had done.
For sure.
And it was our only really it used to be a residence house, but we'll call it a residence investigation.
Yeah, definitely.
Because there was
technically
a lot of drug use in there, a lot of bad stuff happened in that house.
Yep.
And all that energy gets in that wall. And we did think there was something very negative in there because we encountered it while Jason was still there. Jason from Paranormal Den, thank you for that.
Yeah.
As well.
Well, I think what you saw about too is like even if a place is like beat down and just a shell of what it once was. Like Squire's Castle is a shell of what the castle used. And then we think about some of the places like the Paper Mill, which is a shell of what it once was. Those spirits might still see it as it was when it was fully functional and alive and well,
I like where Ryan's going with this because now I think about it, people have commented on my photos of that old farmhouse up there.
Yeah.
And that was a shell what it was. And who knows what's roaming up there because I felt something was watching me, not just the turkey buzzards, but
yeah.
Those things are creepy enough, as I said. But some people pointed out like they saw or felt just by pictures faces from the top rooms looking at me.
And John was saying, I hope when I die and I'm a ghost, I'm not stuck in a house unless it's a cool house. Yeah, I hope when I pass on that I pass on to hopefully another realm or existence because I want to think that I level up after this. That's how I want to think about it. So
yeah, unless it's a cool house. Or maybe one of those cool old factories there, John, you can roam around and maybe scare Terry to death because he doesn't like heights. But anyway, that was what he's listened to earlier. But anyway, yeah. Oh, John.
Yeah, that's definitely very true, John. With the Titanic people, there could be just continuing to sail, never getting to their destination.
I heard this and also thought about this too. Some people want to take a boat out there to exactly where it sunk and do an investigation right there. Right there.
That'd be amazing. Because
a lot of sadness, death, and heroes, and a lot of brave men and some assholes, but we won't mention. So, if anybody's seen the movie, not just for the romantic parts, I watched it for the actual.
Well, there's some stories that are very true. Like the men who continued to play on the deck of the ship as it sunk, those are real people. And a lot of those stories that were some of the hard-hitting ones of that movie were based on reality.
Oh, and
some are fake, though.
Some are fake, yes. But the sister ship of Titanic, the Britannic, sunk as well. I think both of those ships were cursed.
Yeah.
They had to be. Because the sister ship of the Titanic, which also was used in the wartime as a medical ship, and there was a person that survived the Britannic twice. No, survived the Britannic sinking, was on the Titanic, then was on the Britannic, survived that, and still did it, but died years later on another ship.
That's just they had bad luck.
Wow.
That person sank ships,
After the Titanic, I don't think I would have sailed on anything else after that, but God bless that person, man, for staying strong to that cause.
Yeah. John was saying there was 3.
Oh, okay. There was 3.
And Charlene was saying watch for sharks, I think, on the investigating the area.
Okay.
But if you're in a big enough, hopefully you're not going to take a small little rowboat or something out there. Hopefully you take a big enough vessel where sharks aren't going to have to be a problem.
I always forget about the Olympic, but I always remember the Titanic and the Britannic because the Britannic was used during the wartime.
Yeah.
And hit by a missile, not a missile.
Well, and I mean, the other ones don't matter in comparison to the Titanic because the Titanic had Leonardo DiCaprio on it, obviously.
He could have stayed on that board. Give me a freaking break.
There was room for both.
There was room for both. They just did it for the story because it was sadder. She moved on. But they made that dude that was going to marry her shot himself because of financial things. But then she dumps the hope right back where it belongs, right back into the water.
You know what we shuffled up and never did? I even cut the deck and everything.
Oh, we cut the deck, but we didn't. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't pull our tarot. Let's pull our tarot.
Let's pull our tarot. Sorry,
if anybody's new to the show, we always pull a single card tarot.
Yes, we did shuffle this.
And we already shuffled it.
We just got lost in conversation. Sorry.
But we always do this to get intention for the show and everything. So, our regulars know how this goes. We just read it real quick. And we also do it as a way to inform people. Now, right now, we're using a Alice in Wonderland themed deck because we switch it up. I got a Lord of the Rings deck, and I've got then a more traditional, sun deck. But what's up?
No, it reminded me when you said Titanic. It was in the Ghostbusters movie. They finally arrived.
Yeah,
they finally made port, and they were all coming out of the hole. Yeah, that was creepy.
All right, so let's get ready. Let's see what this says. It is. Oh man, I'm pretty sure it's the 8 of hats in the upright. So let's take a look real quick.
Oh, John says the Olympic went all the way until 1936, I think. They ended up scrapping it. I can't believe they would scrap an identical ship. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Yeah, message me later, John, about that. But John, someone very, very rich is redoing the Titanic, actually.
Oh yeah. And they're planning on sailing, I think, like 2022 or
something
21,
like that. But with the modifications that won't to today's standards.
Yeah.
Because after that, after that wreck, they went to more strict standards. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So I pulled it wrong. It's in the reverse position, and it's the 8 of hats, which 8 of cups, if people know the more traditional tarot. Happiness, joy, feasting, striving for a goal. So, sorry, I pulled it very wrong when I pulled it up. So, my apologies on that, guys. But that's the 8 of hats in the upright.
Very positive.
Yeah. So, and we are striving for lots of goals. So,
yes. Oh, Ryan says, I forgot about this. Mythbusters did that myth. They said they both would have died because of both have been in the water. I forgot. Did I watch that one? I don't remember. I watch a lot of Mythbusters when I was hurt and recovering.
Yeah,
I did.
Well, and that's the thing is that
I binged watched the whole thing.
So they both would have died because even if she got out of the water and up on that, she still would have died from the cold because unless they found her way quicker,
frozen together. Okay.
Yeah. Well, because she's still out on that frozen, that cold water.
But then they also say they could have rotated one on top for a little bit, then on top.
Well, the only chance that they would have had would have probably been to, I think, and I could be wrong on this, but just strip completely naked and just hold each other as tight as possible and use their body heat, their natural body heat to try to keep each other, because they're in soaked clothing that's soaked in cold, almost frozen water.
Think of the clothes, even the women wear and stuff, and all the clothes were heavier, and all the stuff that the women wore would have weighed them down so much.
Well, and it would have had all that dampness. You would have had no chance. So yeah, I think that the only chance they would have had is to both get up there, huddle together, and yeah.
Well, thank you for. We watch Mythbusters all the time, and I binge watch it back then. I forgot about that episode.
Tracy said she's been offered free cruises and always like, no, thank you.
Hell no, I don't want to be on that ship.
I don't want to be on cruises, not for the sinking aspect. I just don't like the idea of being confined to a singular area like that with that many people, with all the potential of we talk about sicknesses and stuff, but those places, man, people get sick all the time. And people are assholes on there.
John says he wants to own a boat someday.
I would love to have my own boat, yeah.
Funny that not cruise ships, but this guy rented out a basement room, and he had also a timeshare property over there in New Jersey, and he had a beautiful yacht, and he let me drive that thing. I mean, those kind are fun. And I tell you what, to this day, I think that was my best sleep ever. I don't know. It was something about the water.
Oh, it's soothing. It's very soothing, yeah.
So cruise ships, I don't like cruise ships either. There's a lot of stuff that could happen. Plus, of what's going on recently, they can carry all kinds of sorts of
diseases. Yeah. That's just a festering area,
and I don't know if I would want to go on Titanic just for the fear of it doing it the same thing. Because they're going to go the same route that the old Titanic, rest in peace, people. But I don't care if you have all the better equipment and improved designs on certain areas like the rudder and stuff like that. Please don't say, oh, we built you a fine ship. It will not sink.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
That one before, guys.
Heard that one before. Bullshit.
Oh, man. So does anybody have any stories you want to talk about tonight? Anything you
Party
want to talk about?
platoon.
It's
Oh, yeah,
whatever we
that was-
want Wednesday. So, any stories, any questions, anything, you guys can toss out at any point. It's man,
whatever
it's been
we
really
want,
fun.
whatever we want Wednesday. And it's
Yeah.
been fun. Nothing is unsinkable. Yes. Oh, Tracy says the party platoon is always a fun. Yeah, I went out with my brother's friends a long time ago, and we just platooned out to the middle of the lake and drank and had a good old time.
Yeah, it's always a blast.
And it had shade. It wasn't one of those little.
Yeah.
Because I'm a ginger and I burn. Me and son do not get along.
Oh, this so same way, dude.
I'll stay pasty white. They call us ghosts anyway because we're gingers. We stay pasty white.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I tell people I hike a lot sometimes, and they're like, "Wait, isn't that like bad for you as gingers? Because aren't you like?" What's like obviously I take the precautions, like I
most
wear
of the
the
time
appropriate
it's in
gear.
cover of woods mostly.
Well, and that's definitely a big thing too.
We have been,
but even like think about it too. Even some of those places where we spent the most times in the woods, we've had like half a mile, almost mile stretches where we were in more open fields and stuff too. And that's enough for a ginger to fuck us up.
10 minutes and we're done.
Oh, I've
flip me over.
And my mom can tell you this, man. I've had some hospitalization burns in my life where I've had to go and get like the blisters popped on my shoulders and stuff.
Since we're on the topic of sunburns and gingers and pasties, when my real dad and mother were stationed in Jacksonville, Florida, and apparently they both couldn't be there. So, and that was only like 2 or 3 at the time. I only remember this because of the pain. Some babysitter let us go outside for a while in the Florida fucking sun. And being 2 or 3 like TT.
Yeah.
We are also playing with fire ants.
Oh, God.
And I got the worst burn ever. I remember get the worst blisters ever. Almost went to the hospital. Had to soak my hand and stuff, bathe in this really hot water or whatever other medicine at the time was. I remember this as there's something about severe pain. I remember this as a little 2 or 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Because of the pain level.
Well, and
that's crazy how you can remember because your mind's still growing. I don't remember most of that stuff, but I remember that it was in a trailer, and it's like I kept running away because my mom wanted to stick my hand and stuff or bathe in this weird shit.
Yeah.
The lidocaine or some powder form, or it was really hot and painful.
Yeah.
And I know all about that.
My mom, she confirmed it in the chat, just like I definitely had some pretty rock star sunburns growing up, but I still love the outdoors. I still love nature, and I definitely would never give it up.
Notice how the SPF of sunblocks has gone up.
Now we have some really cool stuff popping up. I want to address Charlena's real quick. Speaking of ships, what about crypto sea life? My brother said he saw some stuff in the Navy that was huge, and we've talked about that before. I have actually popped out there. I'm sure it's a theory that's out there. I've looked into it a couple of times, but the idea of, so we're dealing with massive amounts of ice and icebergs and things of that nature melting off. We're also dealing with areas of water that once went through a deep freeze and had been frozen for long periods of time, now are melting off. Now, it's an insane thing, but people have studied the ability to, cryogenically freeze people.
Yes.
And I think there's the potential that some more ancient creatures or things that lived and dwelled in the sea in more prehistoric times or things like that could have frozen up, and now through warming and the earth getting hotter been released. It's a theory that's insane a little bit, but also I think there's a lot of things that could be possible there.
I've seen something that they uncovered a body well preserved by the frozen.
Yeah,
and
it was more than
200 to 300 years old.
Yeah, they've on one of those monks who have been
Antarctic expeditions.
Yeah,
that they had to bury them right there because you got nowhere else. It's all ice.
Well, there was that famous monk that they recovered who they said he had been potentially, I think, dead for 1,000 years, but there's some kind of it wasn't vital signs or anything like that, but there was some kind of something from it that was weird. And other monks said oh no, he's just in an extremely deep meditative state, just a next level stage of he's in a whole other trance, So it's just insane to think about something like that as well.
Yeah. Oh, Ryan Summers comes up with another good one. It would be cool to go explore the Bermuda Triangle, but that's also some risky business. And
Well, even if it's not or spiritual or some kind of like, phenomenon, paranormal thing, it could be just a scientific, like some kind of like intense magnetic pull or something like that. So it's very scary.
the Alaskan Triangle.
Yep, the Alaskan Triangle.
There's that mysterious disappearance of the Douglas. The airplane flew in, they can still hear the creepy radio transmissions. Then it's gone.
Yep.
And these are pretty, I guess there's a lot of things that go missing in that area a lot. And sometimes they do find these missing planes, but you cannot find one piece of anybody, the pilots, and they still heard the radio transmission, but all of a sudden it was gone. Silence, dead silence. And that was an amazing story in itself. I mean, I have to go. That was also on Haunted Road Media. Mike Ricksecker did a series on the Travel Channel, I believe, of the Alaskan Triangle. It's just like it's the Bermuda Triangle, those mysterious disappearances and whatnot, and how the ley lines and whatnot out there line up. And just a lot of mysterious disappearances with these triangles, and it's odd. And you got to think, Alaska is a big, vast universe, a big, vast land that's over land. And you got to think of the Bermuda Triangle is a very vast, but that's over a lot of water. This 2-act soul light, is it another portal to another dimension? Could be. It's just really weird. What we got in the chat? I read recently that worms were revived and fed after thawed that were ancient. Really? Do you have that story you can share to my messenger? I can share that tomorrow on the page there, Charlena. That's very interesting. I'd like to read more on that. That is very interesting. I mean, you think by freezing ourselves we can come back? I mean, it's always a theory, and you see in some movies, or even like, I don't know if you guys play video games in there still, but like the Fallout games where they're cryogenically frozen for a period of time, then woken up. That's crazy. I also think, Charlena, ancient viruses, if they thaw, we are in a deep crap, no immunity.
Yeah, they say that viruses that could be from thousands of years ago, we have never been exposed to, could completely wreak havoc.
She also talked about that, which she read recently, worms were revived and fed after thawed that were ancient.
Oh, I know that's what she's talking about. Yeah.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Well, she's going to share it to me on the messenger, and I'm going to share it to the Facebook page.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a very scary thought as well. I mean, we're already going through kind of a pandemic right now, and people are all excited about opening up, but it's still going to be out there. Is it going to be another round 2 during the winter season when the flu and all that comes back? Just be safe out there. That's all I say. Be safe out there and be cautious to your fellow man. Be kind. I know these are tough times, and that's all I'm going to say on that right now.
Yeah, there's always things to worry about, and we got to keep each other protected, But
you can still see each other, but go at a 6-foot distance and use finger guns. I'm bringing the Hasselhoff finger guns back. Anyway, I watched Knight Rider a lot back in the day. Sorry, guys.
Hey, Knight Rider was fun stuff. Kit was amazing.
I want a turbo boost car in a car that talks. Well, that'd be kind of creepy.
Well, these AI systems that could be coming, yeah.
If the Mustang talked to me, she'd probably give me a lot of shit right now.
Oh, yeah.
You have not watched me. What is your problem? Do you see the weather out there? I have not had a good day. If it's a good day, I go drive. I don't have. When the days get better, yeah, and our part of a driveway isn't a puddle.
Yeah.
Jesus, man. Anyway, that's enough of our ranting. Any more stories, or do you would like to share a story, sir?
Well, we talked about ancient viruses and stuff. Let's talk about a story related to last week.
Yes.
On last Wednesday, we had Witchy Wednesday.
Yeah, we did.
And it was a great time. It was a fun episode. Well, we talked about the Salem trials during that. Now, I posted an article on the Facebook today, and you guys can check that out. There's been people who they looked at historic reports from the time, saw that there was later after the events of the Salem witch trial, um, and they.
Oh, thank you, Newman Outdoors.
Oh yeah, hey Newman Outdoors.
Yeah, this
over
is
on the
one hell of
YouTube.
a. This is our crypt, our studio.
Yeah,
This is where we
the
get
studio,
away
yeah.
sometimes. We
But
we also got a hammock right over there. But anyway, continue. Your story.
back to the story.
Back to the story.
I really was reading over the story, and they found a large amount of the fungus that LSD is derived from. And if anybody's not familiar with LSD, it's also known as acid, but it's a hallucinogenic drug that people take. It's popular now, like festivals, and like definitely a lot of different things.
Right.
And it's used for different things of like just to see like hallucinations and things of that nature, for mind expansion. People have used it for all kinds of different stuff. We'll be talking a little MK Ultra as well, and some of that stuff a little bit later, talking about some of the government stuff where they actually use LSD to give it to scientists and like inventors and people like that, and try to see, unknowing, and try to see if they will come up with some like crazy ideas or like intense concepts or something. And then they also used it to torture people. But getting back to the Salem part,
Yes.
They found a large amount of the fungus that was in the water system that was flowing into Salem at the time of the witch trials, which could have potentially been why some of these people were getting sick. Some of these people were experiencing all these different things where they were seeing things that weren't technically there, And it's one of those that, I have experienced LSD in the past before, and it's one of those. I could see how somebody, because when you look at people, sometimes their face might completely shift. You might see like an animal face, or like even sometimes like a demonic face, or some kind of scary thing like that. So if people were getting small amounts of this and they're drinking water, they could be having these kind of things.
And when you talked to me about this, and I watched this 3-part hour miniseries that was back in the 90s, starred Christy Alley. I don't know if you remember Cheers, anybody of you. But anyway, she starred in that. And what he talked about I know how Hollywood elaborates, but still, it kind of makes sense the way you're throwing out. Those parents back then trying to get back at people with their lands could have, or they just drank the water and the kids were freaking out.
Yeah.
And like,
the younger minds would have
witches
been,
when they're pointing out.
They would have definitely not had, it would have, small bodies and stuff like that. It would have been affecting the children much more. And if you think your kid's freaking out to a certain person, obviously that would give you a lot of cost. And some of it was just propaganda, and some of it was just people trying to get people they didn't like out of town and stuff, and steal property. But it's one of the theories out there. And I post an article from the New York Times that was originally written back in 76 or 70, like sometime in the 70s. And I put the article up so you guys can check that out. And I just thought that was interesting because there's a lot of things tied to hallucinogenics of all sort of things. If you think about like LSD, peyote, and all that kind of stuff.
Tracy actually did research report on ergot poisoning possibly being a cause of that, what we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Tracy calls convulsions and hallucinations. It was fungus in the food. Charlene says, I'm back. I sent you the link. Thank you, Charlena. And what she said about the story. I mean, now I went after watching that 3-part miniseries, and some of those, then actually one of the adults was starting to see people that were hung,
which would make
in
sense
their own room. And
if it affected adults later because they're larger people,
they're larger people,
an amount in the water,
right? Yeah. And it'll affect them later. But the cause, there was a lot of disease and stuff like that. Or you think about this as a conspiracy, because I know it was back when we first discovering the area and came over across from England and whatnot, that the Native Americans were putting it in the water just so they can get rid of them. Hey, I'm just saying there could have been a lot of things. I think about that too, because they're kind of coming on there, but some were friendly. They made treaties with each other, but some were not quite as friendly because they were booting them out of their lands.
Well, and that's a lot of what it was, that kind of colonization and the tricks and tactics that went along with it. Because unfortunately where we're at now, but
they knew the earth more, so they would know that kind of stuff.
Yep.
like the medicine men and all that back then. They knew all different things, bad and good.
And as the thing is, a lot of the things we use today, even in modern medicine, are all
Yes.
derived from different things of the natural world.
Familiar with it, and it would have been back in the 80s, early 80s. Oh, you're probably talking about what I just said about the movie or the miniseries.
Yeah.
Because it did seem kind of older film or miniseries. Because I know some of them back then they're just like a 3-part 1 hour series or 4-part 1 hour series.
Yeah.
It was literally it was free on YouTube, so I sat there and watched.
Watch talking so close to the mic too. I might have got a little loud there for a second.
Oh, sorry. And it was long, but I sat there and watched it, and some of it, like he talked about today, it's like, bing, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or that, and they're trying to get people they didn't like off their lands or owed them tax. And the Puritans were a bunch of uptight buttholes. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, I mean, invasion is invasion, and you gotta have your survival tactics. And the Salem trial, in reading about the potential of it being some kind of like hallucinogenic thing that led to some of those things being reported, that made me think of the MK Ultra stuff and how they would take these great minds and put these minds in a room and like spike the punch bowl or something like that. Like it's always a popular thing, spiking the punch or something like that. And not telling these guys and just letting them, have some drinks, have this LSD flowing through the system, because, it's at a time where the studies on it were still being done. So nobody really knew a lot about it. And it's intense to think that, somebody could be subjected to that unbeknownst and not knowing anything about it. Some of the things you could see while on that would be terrifying if you thought you were still in your right mind. So that could drive somebody to literally go crazy for the rest of their life because they didn't know they were on a hallucinogen. And I'm sure they probably got some really crazy ideas, because it does expand your mind and make you think about things in a different manner. But man, to do that to somebody without them knowing, that's kind of a really shitty move.
Yeah, and I want to bring out like a sad point, but a remembrance to one of my, when you speak of that, people lacing stuff without their knowing. One of my old buddies I used to work with, he was only 24 years old, and on Christmas, he died on Christmas. He got some cocaine with laced with something, and they don't know what it was, and he died.
It's always unfortunate.
So that's very unfortunate. Rest in peace, Brandon. He was a great guy, died too young. But like he said, you never know. They don't tell them. Bad stuff could happen, or you just have a real bad trip.
Well, in one of the reports from the MK Ultra, that one of the scientists literally got so freaked out he jumped out of a window and died like immediately, because it was like they were on like a 3rd or 4th story in a hotel room or something like that.
Seeing things and
he was something in the room was freaking him out, something like in his mind was freaking him out, but he either wanted to get out of that room or just wanted to end his own life so quickly.
Now, do you think like some of these drugs, well, of course, that you can actually see the spirits or the spirits, or is it just hallucinating? I had never.
So like I said, something that in my younger days I did experiment with a little bit, and I saw at one point a wall, it looked like it was either ancient Egyptian or Aztecian, but it was a wheel that spun out, and it was a wheel that went around, and there was a person in the center, and it was like they were trying to show me certain things on the wheel, but obviously it was in a language that I didn't understand. So
I would think it would be the Aztecs, because they had stuff. I mean,
well, it could be
Egyptian,
anything, like
but Aztecs. It sound like back down in South America, the Aztecs.
Oh, that was stuff that popped up in all those cultures. Yeah, a lot of those cultures. I mean, it goes to the ayahuasca, stuff. It goes to the peyote for the Native Americans and some of those other cultures, like down in the Mexicos and stuff like that. Like or down in Mexico. I'm sorry, and then
Mexico City,
in Africa there was tons of different things, and like all the different things throughout the jungle that people were hallucinating off. So this is stuff that's popped up in many cultures. I mean, there's one of the theories out there that man's evolution was actually a monkey eating some hallucinogenic mushrooms or fungi and gaining consciousness, and that's where it became what we think like we do today.
Planet of the
Yeah,
Apes.
yeah, it's a whole big theory out there. It's not something I'm just tossing out there. It's actually a theory that's.
Your mom said something, but
You
probably always talk what we already talked about.
Oh, and that was one of the that was the Jonestown. That was
the one in Africa.
They went out to South Africa, and the People's Church out there. He drank the Kool-Aid and all died. Yeah.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid, especially from that guy. But
I mean, he literally recorded as they were dying. He was talking and recorded up until the moment he died. And like you can hear him starting to slowly drift off and stuff. I have the recording on my computer. It's intense.
That is intense. Holy crap. Oh, I want to give out to I should have done this at the beginning of the show. I know most of you have been here a while. Shout out to Ann's nephews. They're in the hospital because he has the virus. So send them out positive energy and hearing. Healing, not hearing. That's in the court.
Yeah, so if you can send your positive energy to Ann, keep
her
in your thoughts.
She's been
prayers.
She's been a great follower. I know most of you know her in here in the chats. So send out positive energy.
Yep.
Out that way. It's very scary times, and
we really care about you guys. And
you don't have to apologize.
Yeah, never worry about it. If you got things to do, you got things to do.
You can always rewatch it. You can comment later.
Yeah, even if it's just taking a nap and you couldn't catch the show, you got to sleep. We get it.
We got to sleep sometimes.
I fall asleep on the show sometimes. You guys just don't realize it.
Yeah, he does that.
I'm just drifting off.
Sleep. Yeah. Just don't hit your head on it.
Get a gargoyle to the eyeball.
Oh God, man, it is kind of. Then mine's facing me for some weird reason. His face over there, man. Look at this guy, followers of the show. Come on, guys. All right. See, now we got stories. Any of you got stories you want to say tonight? Anything we haven't heard
you guys
before?
Have been sharing some fun stuff.
You've been sharing some fun stuff.
Yeah.
Gee, we've been talking about Titanic and God knows
Titanic creatures.
I mean,
got a couple
whatever
of
we
Bigfoots
want.
There.
Wednesday. Yeah. Come on.
The voodoo man said it best,
Oh yeah. Is he above me? Yeah, he is above me. Yeah. He's stirring up some potions and
he's actually right between us, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because the devil's over there by his maiden flag.
Yeah.
Yep, there he
Our
is.
Blackbeard flag.
Blackbeard flag. Didn't Edward teach flag over there? Stabbing of the heart. I missed Monday because I was sleeping. Oh, you're fine, Tyler's mom. You're allowed to sleep. We'll let you. We'll
go ahead and spin them out there, guys. You can toss them in the chat.
Oh, Charlena says I got a whacked idea about aliens and human evolution and genetic manipulation. I could go in and on. Well, go for it.
Well, genetic manipulation is always an interesting thing because that's one of the theories that leads into aliens possibly coming to Earth and being the reason that human evolution happened because they put some kind of creature on the step or something. Or there's even a more crazy theory of like a gray or something like that mating with a primate, and that's how mankind came to be.
Your mom says she has a story too. All right, Charlene and Tyler's mom, type those stories. We can talk about something while you type those stories.
Oh, we can talk about all kinds of stuff.
We got all kinds of stuff.
There's funny because you see a lot of things that pop up in the natural world that kind of lead the mind to think of a more spiritual manner. Once you I hiked so much last summer, and I've been a little bit more reserved this summer, but or this year so far. I've been making up for a lot of that. Yeah, you're definitely getting some good stuff.
I'm getting my back feels it, my knee feels it.
But I hiked so much, I got to experience like the natural world in these like beautiful areas, and I went out so early in the morning to avoid massive amount of people, and it was nice to see the world in that kind of way, and it definitely like added to my spiritual sense. Yeah.
Ben says, "Hey guys, how are you?" Hey Ben.
What's up, Ben?
I saw that intro video that you're doing. That was pretty cool, man. And that he made that himself.
Hell yeah.
Music. You want to send? Can we? You can make some music for us, and we'll send you something. But we like our intro as well too. But we're always asking because your friend's a good artist, and
Oh, I've got a couple of friends. I got a friend who's in a metal band who I thought about reaching out to, and I've got some various friends who, I know would love to come up with a cool concept. And I've got some lyrics I'm working on for an intro song of our own. So, because I write a little bit of stuff too. So.
Okay, that would be cool, actually.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and Ben says he made his own little music.
Yeah, it's fun to make stuff like that.
That's awesome. It's nothing that I thought it was pretty awesome. I think I don't know if I shared it, but it is on his page. Ben's. I think you should do it from your business account, Ben, one time, so you can see what he posted.
Potentially, yeah.
Because we've been talking to him a lot, and he's starting his paranormal team, and we're gonna try when later on to do some investigations out there with them, or you can come down here and we can show him around some different areas of investigations as well, because he likes those open spots as well.
Nice.
So yeah, Ben's a great guy, man. Check him out. I know Charlene and your mom are probably typing their stories right now.
Well, and there's no rush, we got another hour to the show, so we got plenty of time.
We just creeped in our hour. Wow, man, where did that go?
That first hour blew by. Yeah,
that first hour went fast.
It's always nice when you have good subjects to talk about, and it is whatever we want Wednesday, but it's not like we came in here with anything non-related. We had some stuff we wanted to talk about.
WWW Wednesday, whatever we want Wednesday.
WWW.
WW. Oh, 4 W's. Yeah. But I put the Wednesday, but unless you've been in your house so long, you forget what days are what. So we forget.
That definitely happens. Luckily, we haven't forgotten our show on that kind of thing.
No. Wait, maybe that's why
Tuesday or Friday.
No, we know when it's Tuesday and Thursday. I guess we know that, except for the weekend, we get mixed up because we don't, unless we're doing like going out or exploring or investigation. But as far as the show goes, we know what day it is. Thank you for our show keeping track of the days. Is it Wednesday? I know we ain't Monday. It's Tuesday.
All right. So I will go ahead and read this story from my mom.
All right. Go for it, sir.
All right. And my mom wrote in a story. She's hoping the chat there. When I was a little girl and my grandfather passed away, me and my sister would go stay with grandma. And I'm guessing when she says sister, she's talking about my Aunt Tula. Mm-hmm. And she would always have us sit on the end of the bed, and she would tell us to sit still, and we would feel what felt like something sitting by us. And grandma would always say it was grandpa coming to sit with us. Kind of scary. So what I'm guessing is that my great grandma it'll be my great grandma.
Your great grandma.
She had already experienced the presence of my great grandpa. Mm-hmm. So she knew that he would love, when they came to visit, he would love to get the chance to actually sit next to them and everything. So that's a wonderful thing.
Even after passing, you want to come visit. Oh, no, I'll get the Ryan one. Then Charlene.
If you want to do the Ryan one, I can then read the Charlene one for sure.
I believe the aliens helped the Egyptians, because I remember back in school, the history book showed people pulling the blocks across logs all the way to the top of the pyramid. My opinion, yes, you probably could pull them on flat land across logs, but it would take a lot of manpower to get them all the way to the top, and aliens did it. I mean, when I was in middle school, I did a whole history report on the Egyptians because I was so fascinated by them, about these pyramids and whatnot. I mean, who doesn't say they didn't have help?
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of theories on that. The one thing also too that it's a sad thing to think about, but never, unfortunately, I'm going to say this, never underestimate the power of slave labor. When you have so many people that you can just throw out a project, you don't care if they die, you're not worried about their well-being, they can get smashed between the blocks if they don't, you can throw a lot of people at a project, and you can see, I mean, if you think about how things are in China right now, they can construct buildings like that. Now, that one collapse that they made, but like they can make things so quickly and stuff. So never underestimate the power. That.
But other than that, how precise these pyramids.
Oh no, believe me, there's a whole other realm to that, and the way they link up with certain I believe a lot of different things, and I believe that there could potentially have been an alien influence. Yeah, I'm not discrediting it in any way.
Yes,
but I'm just saying the possibility of humans doing something like that, the potential is there. To Charlena's story,
okay,
or not really a story exactly what she even says it there. And it's a theory. It begins with believing what if the mythological animals on murals were actual real experiments of aliens working with Earth genetics. Once you start down the road, you begin to think of how did humans evolve so quickly compared to apes or any other living animal? Why are we so hairless and our brain mass so large? Well, and that's definitely, there's a lot of different things there.
There's a lot to.
And with it, and Charlena, there's different realms of thinking on that first part with the mythological creatures. There's people who believe that aliens did it, and then there's people that believed that gods or deities did it, and then there's a whole other area where it's like these were creatures that just were naturally things that combined in nature and then were killed off.
Or do you add to that, or we're part of we were actually on another planet and aliens dropped us off here on a new planet, then we evolved into what we are today.
That's
another. I thought about that part too, because
they say that we could be the aliens.
We could be the aliens because they brought us here to a new planet.
And to the mythological creatures, real quick, one of the theories I've also had is the reason why they've never found like the skeleton remains of a dragon or something like that. And believe me, there's just a theory. It's not something I 100% believe or anything. But the reason they couldn't find them is wings of that nature would probably be made of cartilage, because you'd have these massive wingspans. They'd have to be very light, so cartilage doesn't fossilize. So
not
some of these
like
creatures,
the dinosaurs,
so some of these creatures that are perceived as dinosaurs could have just been dragons and their wings didn't fossilize or something of that nature. That's something I've thought about a couple times. Yeah,
that would make a lot of sense.
Some of these creatures could have been winged creatures. Now the whole breathing with fire or something like that might be a whole other thing.
That might have been added for.
Well, and we don't know. We didn't get to experience them, unfortunately. But definitely something I've thought about.
That is some great. I mean, now you're making mine because of that whole alien thing. Because I've been watching. Hunter Ramirez last week was a lot on the alien side of things, and they talked about what if we were just brought over because their planet was dying.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, there's this planet that's receptive for life and whatnot, and just dropped us off.
Well,
could the dinosaurs been there too?
And it's something we mentioned before. There's a school of theory that the intelligence was a gift to us from a race known as the Anunnaki, and that we're actually harvesting gold for them, and like we're actually technically a slave race of a whole beings, and that the whole purpose of our culture and something that maybe has been strayed away, and why there's so much of it stored up. You think about like the reserves where there's just massive amounts of gold, those gold bricks and stuff. It's like, why would we need to store so much gold like that? And think about how gold is stored. It's like the maximum like securities and stuff like that.
Oh God, yeah.
It's insane. And it's not.
And some people keep secret of the mines.
Gold's beautiful and it has like that physical effect and everything, but there's got to be something different in comparison. Like there's just I don't know.
Why does gold drive a lot of us crazy? There could be the chemical in the gold, or
gold, diamonds, things of that nature.
Anything that something in the material itself that drives us insane and kills people and hides these mine. I mean, going crazy. Some of these mine towns boom up and they're gone.
Yeah, very much so.
No laws. People killing each other over fucking gold. Yes, it is pretty. It's nice. But I know you're trying to make a buck. But if you're doing it honestly, some of those people got killed. I feel sorry for them. They were just trying to make an honest living. And some of the people just came in there to steal it from them and look for the next mining town to.
Oh, very much so. Very much so. And, I really enjoy that there's so many different stuff that could be related to the gold. They say that it's people who are trying to hoard it for like the alchemic elements, and like the things that you can do with it and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And all kinds of stuff. There's people who think that certain people are putting small amounts into like their bloodstream and stuff like that to try to live forever. That's another thing that happens, dude.
That's the first time.
Well, I mean, think about how many people.
Crazy.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put it past it of all the crazy stuff.
With a less crazy thing, think about how many people who of the older age get younger people's blood transfused into their body to think that like the younger, fresher blood is better for their body. It's a real thing that happens.
What was that crazy lady in Louisiana that killed her slaves and drank their blood, thinking that would help her?
You talk about
what is it?
Bathory?
Huh?
Bathory?
She's also an American Horror Story. They kind of
it was
in New Orleans. I forget, but she tortured and killed her slaves up there and drank their blood and did some weird stuff so she can probably live forever or something weird. But she was also a mean ass bitch. And they said
Bathory's a murderer, yeah.
And they said that she was a slave owner, so and back down south. And I know.
Good night, Ryan.
No, good night. Thank you for joining us tonight, sir.
Yeah, and we're glad you expressed your thoughts, man. You're never going to hear us push anything to the side.
Oh, no.
And if I've ever like putting up some kind of like theory or fact that may be counter, contradictive or contradictive or something like that, it's only because I'm just trying to offer another frame of thought too. Yeah, I like to discuss many frames of thought.
We're just not stuck on one theory.
Yeah,
and that's the same thing that goes for the paranormal. All these are theories we have that we're testing out there in the field.
We appreciate you sharing your stuff, though.
We appreciate it, and you more. Join us back on Friday at the same time.
Yep, Friday at 9:30 is when
it'll be Friday, Follower Friday.
Yep.
So it's over to you. But I love people that join us for the first time and have all these stories and not afraid to share them. And we offer our opinions and theories.
Well, remember the first time Tanya was here, man?
Oh,
she was so interactive. She thought we were going to get annoyed. It's like, no, we love when you guys talk about this.
And it tied into the other story I had, how weird that was that they both tied in together like that. They were the same kind of path.
Yeah,
it was like she was meant to be part of the show.
Well, that was definitely a good sign. I'm sorry, I've got like some kind of phlegm in my throat right now.
I think we all no,
yeah, man, like I'm Rona. no Rona or anything. I just I didn't bring another drink down here with me, so I think it's just because I haven't had a water in a second.
Oh yeah, you should have brought your water.
Yeah, I should grab my water bottle,
but that's all right. Anybody else want to share anything tonight, or do we got anything else to talk about today? I mean, it's whatever we want Wednesday. I mean,
yeah,
we kind of changed it up. We didn't want to stick to one topic tonight, and we kind of both agreed on that. We were both thinking that today, actually. Yeah,
our Mondays and our Wednesdays are going to be floating. You know, there's always going to be a floating theme to that. You know, we might come back to certain ones again.
Oh,
you know, but
because there's always
our Fridays are always going to be Follower Friday.
Oh yeah, our Fridays going to be our Follower Friday. Always Follower Friday, because without you guys, you know, your stories, we shared our stories, you share our. It goes back and forth. We met some great people on here.
Yep.
That we might later on investigate with.
We have like 3 or 4 potential investigations set up just off the show. Yeah.
Ben, up in Michigan.
David and Randy
at the campgrounds with the Bigfoot. Gwen up in Virginia.
Yep.
And also Rick up there as well on the South Coast. So that's 4.
3 or 4, like I said, yeah. So
investigate some battlegrounds.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait.
I can't wait to go back up to Gettysburg. I really want to go. Have it itching to do that again. So bad. I know it's a long trip. It's like 6 hours, but it's well worth seeing it because you're just in awe. You feel the energy, the sadness, and all that death embedded in the grounds and in the stones, a little big top. And just seeing what we had to endure back then was very sad. But it had to be done because it's like having a reset or something. People down south wanted slaves and the north did not. And you got to give Abraham Lincoln some credit. And Abe, if you're listening, please look behind your back. Don't get shot in a theater. But anyway, I'm sorry, dude.
Well, hopefully he's not listening to that, man.
No, I know.
Yeah,
he's probably up there, chatting with other older presidents. or than the ones? It's like, what were you doing?
I don't know. I think okay. So this, I just from the little I know about politics, and it's very little, guys. I don't ever talk about it. I don't think many presidents would ever actually want to talk to other presidents in any kind of afterlife. I think because of you think about like how different it was, and like you would be comparing yourself to like their term and all like no. I think presidents probably avoid the shit out of each other in the afterlife.
And his wife tried to. Speaking of the spiritual realm, after Lincoln's assassination, his wife tried to bring him back with seances and whatnot. And there's this photo that's if it's real or not, where they took a picture and you see Abraham Lincoln standing over the spirit of, I don't know if that was someone did it as a hoax or try to comfort her, saying he's watching over her and whatnot. But I have to look that photo up. But she did a lot after his passing. She did a lot of seances and whatnot, try to talk to him.
Well, I mean, and
that's what it'd be a lot
hard,
of people.
Yeah, some people, it's really hard when their person they love the most in the world passes on,
because it seems like they're a lot connected to the spiritual realm of things, and that. But some people were bogus back then, bogus claims, like Houdini tried to got some of those as fakes and whatnot. Some of them it was real. Most of them he said were fake, or try to play him over.
Yeah,
I mean it's amazing. I mean, I even still trying to find that book to this day. It's hard to find what Houdini. That book is on my top list of I want to read.
Yeah,
and find. We're always when we go to that. Me and my stepdaughter Bree, we go to the antique mall out here. We always try to find that book, see if it magically pops up in one of someone's collections, but probably not, because
you put it out there, man. You got to keep your intention.
Or just really like that demonology book by that King John back then during the Pendle witch trials.
Well, you can get a copy of that one. Yeah,
I know you can get a copy of it, but just to have close to the original book. I know it's probably expensive and hard to find. If we go across the pond, which one of these days we will.
Yeah,
I really want to, because I've been reading this book of Vanessa Hogel's experiences over there, and it's like we're meant to be there, or sometimes if in another life you lived over there, and it's like a breath of fresh, different. And it's so amazing, and a lot of history, older history over there.
Well, and see, to do an investigation across the pond, what we'd have to do is we'd have to talk to family and talk them into a family trip, like a week or so trip. And what we do is we would agree upon a certain amount of family things, but each and every day we'd have a certain amount of time where we're allowed to go and just explore haunted locations and places like that. So I think that'd be a good way to spin it to them.
Save a lot of those, eat at home and pack those lunches, save money. Because
I'm going to start an OnlyFans account and start selling nudes. I always say it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Oh, Charlene says Anaheim Battlefield. Yeah, you talked about that too. We want to investigate that battlefield as well out there by you, Charlene. Oh my God. Love to see that photo. Oh, that Abraham. I'll have to look that up. Someone remind me, and I'll look it up and I'll share it tomorrow.
Okay.
That famous, if it was real or hoax, I don't know.
Welcome back, Ben.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back, Ben. We were talking about how Abraham Lincoln's wife did a lot of seances to try to talk to her deceased husband. And that one photo that I will share tomorrow, that someone took, saying he was, oh, look, he's right there, right with the hand on her shoulder, saying he's right there.
Yeah.
We don't know. Back then, they could have played a hoax, and I will share that photo, and I will let you ask the question and see what you guys think of it about it.
Well, yeah, and you can look a little into it and see.
You can look
that's probably somebody who's pointed out if it's a fake or an edit or something, and it's always an easy one to point that out if you find the original photo or something.
I know it's got to be circulating somewhere, or in a museum, because he was born in Indiana. Actually, it's funny because you see the sign on the interstate, home of Abraham Lincoln. birth state of him. But he lived in Illinois at the time. And he was.
I always loved the story surrounding Abraham Lincoln because he was an avid wrestler, and he was known
he
to
was
like
a
challenge
badass
people all the
back
time.
then.
Yeah,
he was. People consider him
he's
one
like
of the,
6'4", I think. So it's like,
and he was considered a giant back then too because of his large size.
And he probably kept in pretty good shape from working out. So yeah, he was probably really rascally.
He was
the
a
wrestling.
well-rounded individual and a great president for what he had to go through back then.
Yeah,
and too bad he was shot in the back of the head by that guy
Booth. Yeah, man, like
fucking Booth.
And I was just seeing a thing on Booth's grave, not too long ago, where he doesn't have a marked grave, but there's a short unmarked grave on the family property, and that's said to that people think it's John Wilkes Booth's grave, because his brother said that he was going to bury him on the property, but he wasn't going to make him a fancy headstone because he didn't want people to vandalize it. So they believe that that's the one there. And
I mean,
a common
do you
thing
blame him because of?
Well, and like I was saying, a common thing that people do is they put pennies on top of it with Abraham Lincoln's head face up, as to say no, Lincoln was right, you should have just agreed with his ideals and stuff like that. So yeah,
if you're one of those people that killed one of the greatest presidents, you don't want to get vandalized either. I mean, he still loved his brother even though what he done, but I can see, if you did something real horrible, would you want to be remembered? Because people ain't gonna remember you for the reason. Vandal, still break it, whatever. Crazy stuff, man. Yeah, everyone's saying hi, everyone. We've been see. This is what is good about it. We talked about everything.
Yeah, we like a lot of different topics.
We mixed it up tonight, and it was really good. We talked about President Lincoln and his wife doing the seances to talk to her deceased husband.
Oh, we talked about something,
and that's why the White House is haunted, but we'll never get to investigate. Sorry.
Yeah, and there's stories from a lot of different presidents who say they've experienced weird things in the White House. That's definitely a common trait, but also it's a very eerie building. So I imagine some of those rooms.
I know the original one was burned down, but they rebuilt it.
Yeah, I'm saying it's still the way the structure is and everything. I'm sure some of those rooms are really intense.
God, please, one time, if anybody would like to investigate the White House, you guys could go all in your business. You can stay in one room and watch us through cameras and whatnot.
Yeah, we'd probably have to have 30 Secret Service guys watching us the whole time.
And
sir, can you move? I'm trying to get some EVP work done over here.
All right.
Sir, you're breathing. I can hear you breathing in my mic right now.
You're thinking too loud. Shut up.
You guys over there, I can hear your guys' conversation. Come on, man. Come on.
I'm sure a lot of Secret Service have stories as well.
Yeah.
Charlene says both got away with it and grew to old age out west. They got, out the wrong fellow in the barn, and the military helped him get away with passwords. So it's a conspiracy.
Yeah, and I mean,
I know. I forgot about that conspiracy that it wasn't the right guy they got, and he died of old age. Just like,
and there was a train of thought that there were people in the government that actually wanted him to do that because it was a power move.
Well, it's also
just like Kennedy,
from the South. Yeah. Some greater.
I mean, there are people who are probably people that had where there were and there was probably people that had worked with him that said they had his back the whole way through, who eventually were people who turned their back and because they wanted their things. Yeah,
do this if you kill him.
And then same thing Kennedy was
make sure you get away, but
the wrong people, the wrong way and everything. So it pops up multiple times.
Just like Billy the Kid, people thought he got him, but there's a movie.
People thought Hitler survived.
Well, yeah, actually has a very strong case. Though.
Well, there is. I mean, and he had the connections to make that kind
of escape. And it was kind of weird that this town in South America, if you go there, I forget what town, I have to look at where that is. But if you go to that town, certain town in South America, there's a German background. And they celebrate that beer. There's a lot of German in that town.
Yeah.
And a lot of architecture. So, but they did. Josh Gage did an episode. Maybe I'll find that one too.
Yeah.
That there was hidden bunkers in the forest and whatnot, keeping the higher ranking people over there. It was like a big old thing after the war, and it's like, how did they even get over here? But there's only one person that can lead something that escape plan like that, and that was Hitler. And there's this old house mansion that further up the river, there's 2 fortified bunkers that would have probably had artillery protecting it before you got to this mansion house right there on.
So even if somebody did find out, he'd still be able to protect himself and everything.
He'd still be able to protect himself. But he was very well. See, he didn't go into this town or nothing. His aides and whatnot. I mean, it's funny how a town in South America has so much German heritage in it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, yeah.
It all is about who goes there and who, what migration.
And they did have
stuff,
It's sad that we didn't. I think 90% we didn't get them. I mean, because the Russians really didn't have we found this, we killed him here.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get evidence of it. They just said, "Oh, we found a skeleton in here." Could have been anyone else.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So
definitely.
Yeah, I know he had an escape plan.
Well, and that's definitely those kind of things. And think about the idea of bunkers and stuff. It's such an ancient concept and something that's been passed around and changed for thousands of years, probably tens of thousands of years. They find things that relate to be way older than what they thought they were. And now you look at bunkers like the Denver International Airport. there's a bunker system like that's just massive.
That was
it's like a city. It's like its own little city.
That was another Josh Gates episode, wasn't it?
I think so. It's been talked about on multiple platforms for sure.
I might have seen it on YouTube or something else, but Charlena, check. That's Josh Gates did that episode on that. They actually got permission to investigate that mansion. Of course, it was cleared out. It's the same guy that does the Oak Island episode where that one treasure hunter that has the metal detector helped him out.
Yeah,
find some actual German.
Yeah, they bumped into him on the beach, right?
And they found old German coins and whatnot on near this house and whatnot. It's a pretty exciting episode. I thought it was pretty legit.
Well, and his stuff is always really fun and entertaining.
And Charlena says, before his death, he told a story. We're talking about John Wilkes Booth. His 2 nephews are alive as U.S. citizens today. The government gave them different names, and they swore to.
Is that about Booth or is that about Hitler?
I don't know. Which one is that?
I think that's probably about Hitler.
It might be about Hitler.
Yeah. Or I don't think it'd be Booth.
Because they did Nazi hunting back then, and they did.
Booth's nephews would still be alive.
I don't think so. They did. They also, Josh Gates talked about Nazi hunting back then, and they got a couple of guys that were hanging out in that South American town that they actually caught, and they had different names. Yeah, of course, they got all different names. All about Hitler. Now I really have to look into that now.
No, Ben, there's no off topic, man. That's whatever we want Wednesday, So that's like no off topic. So Ben was saying, when it comes to Bigfoot, is it possible that it's an entity like a ghost, not in a physical form? It could be like a demon that can go from place to place. There's a whole theory. One of the biggest theories about Bigfoot is that he's an interdimensional being, that he can travel through dimensions and time.
Or he's a watcher of the forest.
Yeah, he's some kind of a forest spirit or forest protector.
Yeah, forest protector. Yes,
and that's why he's so hard to get any kind of evidence.
He shows up if you're doing something really harmful to around the area. And he possibly could show up.
That is literally one of the most popular things. It's popped up more in the past decade, but like I know when I was younger as a kid in the 90s, Bigfoot was always thought to be like maybe an escaped gorilla from a zoo or some kind of train crash or something, maybe mated with like a bear or some kind of. There's always kind of weird theories. But the interdimensional being and some kind of forest protector is a great one.
I don't know if we mentioned this to Ben. Dave and Randy from EVP Mediums, they're on, and they have a podcast, Paranormal Road. He's also a very cryptid hunter. David is. And it's on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you want to check him out, and We've learned a lot from them as well, especially from Dave about the cryptids. Because now you think about it, when I do my solo explorers, which is in the national park, I'm always watching out for that too. And the recent one, I found the two about in trucks off the beaten path. It didn't sound like the actual woodpeckers, because those woodpeckers are loud as crap, because it was in my previous video.
Yeah.
And you can hear it literally 3 or 4 times throughout my video. That dude was making his home or whatever. But the one I was at the abandoned trucks, pretty much I felt like I was on an island at Hill Island.
Yeah.
And I was always watching my back, and I heard these mysterious, not like woodpecker, but knocks. And it wasn't windy that day. And I know what the water sounds. I mean, you tune into some stuff, though, you've been told about the noises and whatnot. And I did hear some weird noises coming out. And I think that's about the time I left, because I knew it. I think I was being watched. Something was watching me.
Oh, like always, there's always something
That's
watching you.
That's why I know if you were here, Ben, that, and also in that park system, someone pointed out to an ancient burial mound, Indian burial mound, that me and Tyler are going to go out and look for.
Yeah.
And it is off the beaten path. And
we've been trying to explore because Ohio has a lot of rich Native American history.
Yes.
So
especially anywhere you go now, and part of it is in that park now that I never knew about until now. And thank you, Mr. Tony Bird. I keep saying it. He pointed me that direction off these maps that show every burial mound that was or could have been in Ohio. And Ohio still has most of their burial mounds, not all. But in any other state, we still have the most still in the state, because I guess we respected them. It's sad that most states got rid of most of theirs, and no wonder you have hauntings and curses and whatnot. But that was, like you said, that wasn't off topic. Yeah, I could tell the difference between the woodpeckers and whatnot. The woodpeckers are strange in there. They make such loud noises when they're going through that wood, man.
Yeah.
It kind of creeps you out sometimes, because you don't know, something else might be. It's like, oh, okay, Mr. Woodpecker's doing this thing. I can knock and they won't hear me, and I'll get closer and watch you. Cryptid and Bigfoot, because he's the watcher of the forest, like we said. He's an interdimensional being, and he watches over the forest. If you do something bad, he'd probably come after you or get close enough to scare the crap out of you.
Yeah,
scare you out of there, not necessarily harm you, but well, you weren't doing anything bad, but maybe someone else was, where you got something thrown at you.
Yeah, no, I just, like I said, I had my one experience out there when I went on that, Bigfoot hike. And, who knows? That's just one of the big theories out there for the Bigfoot.
And Ben says, yeah, Ohio was like the main crossroads for the Midwest. It was. It literally was. Because everyone was crossing up. Because there's the original state of Pennsylvania. It's like, oh, we're going to cross over here. Because I don't know when Ohio was formed. I know it wasn't too far after the 13 originals. Because everyone was crossing from Pennsylvania into Ohio, literally, to the west. It was like the big crossroads. It was.
To what Charlena said, and she was just thinking that a Bigfoot can smell better than we can, and it's elusive for us for that reason. Yeah, I'd imagine
I believe
a lot of its senses would definitely be better than the average, humans. Exactly.
Even more than a bear or any animal out there in the forest.
Yep, it's all potential.
It's all potential. It's the theory. We all speak theories and whatnot. So, I mean, I keep an eye out. This guy keeps an eye out. Even when we go possibly to that burial mound, I don't know if you want to bring. I know we're not that pendulum with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we potentially want to use in the field
and see what kind of energy. There's got to be massive energy in that burial mound.
We got to get ourselves familiar with it before we do anything with it. Yeah,
and protect ourselves and keep us protected, and do cleansing before and after. And we're always prepared now if we're going to stuff like that. Especially,
we're getting better.
Especially if it's a burial mound, we really want to be prepared, because we don't know what to expect.
Yeah,
in that area. And You never know. Bigfoot might be drawn to that certain area as well.
Well, and it's
Because of the
always
energy.
the energy, you know.
Yeah,
It's
the energy.
a lot of creatures are attracted to certain energy.
Wow. What do we get? Oh, we still got 20 minutes left, guys. Anybody want to throw out some stories out there? I know your mom shared a story. Charlena shared a story. Anybody else want to share a story or experience or something very weird or even theories? I mean, we covered a lot tonight. We even talked about Hitler and John Wilkes Booth and Abraham Lincoln and Titanic.
Yeah,
I mean,
stuff. Yeah,
this is what I like. Today is one of those nights where we can talk anything. We cover a lot. We try to cover a lot. If we don't know it, we'll share it later. And you gotta remind me to share a couple of those things.
Yeah,
because I'll probably write them down in my book afterwards to share tomorrow. Then usually we take a break, or we're gonna talk about all the recent cemeteries I've been to, and possibly throwing up a video on the YouTube.
Yep.
And we'll discuss that tomorrow. But it was between that little lesser known cemetery and the Helltown Cemetery, we'll call it, for anybody, because everybody knows what Helltown is by now. We'll just call it the Helltown.
The show, or if you've been to a lot of the Ohio stuff, or if you know a lot of the Ohio stuff, you've seen something about it for sure.
A lot of people ask about that.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, you've been to Helltown area, cool. Okay. I mean, yeah, people call it Helltown. We call it Helltown because everyone recognizes that name.
Yeah,
we know the truth out there. Most of it, not all of it. That's why we're still trying to uncover the truth. There was a lot of stuff that happened
we've
out there
certain
that was
things,
the truth.
and so we know the whole truth out there, but we definitely
we know some
things.
of it enough to be dangerous. Not give off the legend. Oh, geez, what we got?
Well, to what Charlena was saying, women are definitely not only with just the proven to have a different sense of smell or the different colors in the eyes, because especially when it comes to color recognition, you know, women can see far more pigments, colors, which yes. I work in screen printing, and I work alongside a lot of men and women, and I've definitely seen that demonstrated before. I can imagine any of the senses could be different, whether it be between different species, different sexes, all kinds of different things.
Yeah, stepdaughter sees different colors than we do. She calls this one color, I call it the other. They see it differently, or they see something differently than we do. And research has proven males' sense of smell is more varied than female. So why not Bigfoots?
Yep.
And yeah, females see different colors. I wonder if ghosts exist underwater. Speaking of Titanic. Oh, we just talked about this too. Hey, Ben. Now, we talked about this. I talked about it. It's kind of a bucket list thing, but probably never happened. We take a boat out there exactly where it sunk that day with all the sadness and tragedy that happened out there, and do an investigation on those, not necessarily grounds, but waters right there where it sunk. That would be that would be the extreme bucket list. It would
definitely be a fun investigation.
And see, I'm pretty sure it'll still talk because it's water. It has still energy right there. And I'm pretty sure people do know exactly where the coordinates are for when Titanic sunk. Charlene says maybe evolution has aided Bigfoot too.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, like any kind of creature like that, if it's reproduced over the years, you know, obviously it's been reported for a while now, and creatures of that nature have been reported for hundreds, maybe thousands of years. If it's something like that, I'd imagine there's the potential for different bloodlines, you know, for different variations. That's when you start talking about things like, you know, the skunk man, the Yetis, you know, the polar bear version, I guess you could say, of the Bigfoot. So it's really interesting to think where evolution could take that to.
Oh, get back on Ben's question. I don't think the spirits realize they're underwater. They think, you think about this like the buildings and whatnot. They think they're still on the ship.
You're talking about, you know, a specific type of haunting, though. You're talking about a haunting that's maybe playing a loop or something that's stuck in a certain thing. You know, if it's an intelligent haunting, I would hope they would know they're underwater.
They're probably underwater, but also there could be like replaying. Or it was like that scene.
Well, like I said, those are different hauntings.
Yeah, like that scene at the end of the movie of Titanic where she dies in her sleep. Well, I think she dies in her sleep.
Yeah.
Or she's having a dream that she goes back down there and it's all like it hasn't sunk or got damaged or anything. Like they're back on the Titanic. Just like some of the homes, it's a theory. I mean, some of the homes, they don't see it as abandoned or they see it as it was back in the day or whatever time period it was.
Yeah.
Or the grounds, every time period, whatever time period it was. They don't see it as ruins or whatnot. I mean, it's just a theory, but like I said, they probably know that they passed away and they want people to remember them by. Especially that tragedy was one of the worst maritime tragedies that we know of. Or
all sorts of maritime fun, yeah.
I don't know if I like the idea of water and selling on the new Titanic coming out over the same route. Nah.
Yeah.
Nah. No, thank you. Maybe a smaller boat, research vessel, but still, God, I'm talking about Titanic. That's fun. That was good. See, we're talking about all kinds of topics. Makes me wonder about burial at sea. They did that, and even in the pirates, they dumped off
Vikings,
the plank.
All kinds of cultures have done stuff like that.
They did stuff like that. That if you die at sea, you be buried at sea.
I mean, even to today, there's certain cultures and religions that do sea burials. They say that when Osama bin Laden was killed, they buried him at sea as a request from somebody. I forget who it was.
Or some of them, or even they put them on a boat, and if they see some land, they put them on a boat and they light a fire and they out to the ocean or sea.
Yeah,
and the ashes burn right into the ocean.
Viking weddings, yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
This stuff's very interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting.
Lots of different cultures have passed
death.
people on, and then when you start talking about the
afterlife,
the differences of like cremation, burials by sea, burials in the ground, even like the open air stuff where they just let the nature come in and then just pick the bones and stuff clean and then take whatever's left and like put them in like crypts or stuff.
That's
like all kinds of things.
You can't find bodies of certain cultures because I think most of them they burn their family and whatnot. You can't find anything.
Cremation's been always a very popular choice.
Yeah. That's why you can't find remains of certain cultures because they believe in burning their loved ones because they go back to the earth. Excuse me. I don't mean to. Got my mind thinking tonight. Hey, that's what we want tonight. Whatever we want Wednesday.
Yeah.
We've been covering lots of topics tonight. A lot of them are theories. We throw out a lot of theories. There's a lot of theories out there. I mean, opinions and theories. We always throw it out. We always heighten other people's minds, and you share your stories and make us wonder sometimes. And we'll share it later. We research about it, like certainly stories and theories that you guys talked about because we love this stuff. This is why we do this show.
Well, and communicating like this is how it all works. It goes back to, over 10 years ago, talking with my buddies on Xbox and talking about all the different things. It's something that I've always been interested in since I was very, very young. And the communications I've had with people over the years before even the ideas of shows was always something that allowed me to go down different tunnels. Me and my buddies would talk about something, and then while we're talking, I would run over to my computer and research something and go down a whole rabbit hole of different all kinds of stuff. It's why over the years I've definitely come across some very interesting stuff.
Oh, Tyler's mom. Yeah, there's so many cultures out there that do many different things. I talked about this before on the show. Josh Gates did a special, What Happens in the Afterlife, and he's went to different cultures, how they viewed what they do
Hey, what's up, Linda?
After the afterlife, and how they do what they do with their loved ones and deceased ones. There's one culture that they celebrate. They keep the bodies in the house in special tombs. Then they bring them out certain days. Maybe they're deaf and still celebrate, and they're having cigarettes and they take pictures. Well, I forget which culture that is, but
there's a lot of practices out there. It's very interesting. A lot of boring practices, unfortunately, in America. The average practice in America is very boring.
Or if he found that their coffins on the side of a mountain, There was another culture that had their loved ones on the side of a mountain inside caves.
That'd be an awesome one, yeah.
I forget which one, but Josh Gates have a lot of energy. But he did one about the afterlife because he wanted to cover that, what happens to us. And in one river that's really sacred, they burn their loved ones and they go into the river. I forget, it's down in India somewhere or whatnot. There's a sacred river that they burn all their loved ones right there to make a big thing about it.
Yep, and it's also one of the rivers that people get a lot of infections and diseases from.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily go swimming in there, but
I believe it's called the Ganges. I think
the
that's the river you're
Ganges,
talking
yes.
about. But yeah, and hey, David, thanks for popping in as well.
Hey, Linda. Hey, Charlotte. Oh, Charlene says
yeah, there's a lot of different practices, a lot of different stuff. We talk about all the different elements and then the ways that people do different
Linda.
stuff.
It was an Asian culture. It was
that doesn't narrow it down too much. There's unfortunately a wide.
I know it was on a Josh Gates special.
Yeah,
what happens in the after? It was like an hour or hour and a half special he did just on the afterlife topic.
Yeah,
what happens to us after we die, and it kind of got it right here tugged at me. And we're not going to talk about that again, but we talked about last few shows. But that was, if you're going to check out Josh Gates'. I forget what the show is, but I will try to find it and share it and let you guys watch it for yourselves, and it'll make you think how different cultures celebrate life after death. We'll just put it right there, life after death. Nothing like a good smoke, yeah. David, yeah. We've been talking about cryptids too, David. You missed the Bigfoots. We've been talking about the Bigfoots.
All kinds of stuff. And I mean, the stuff's always there. We go live, but luckily it stays up there recorded, so anybody can always go back and check some of the early topic stuff.
Ben says, well, gotta go. Glad to catch up with you guys. Thank you, Ben, for joining us tonight.
Yeah, man. It's always nice to see you.
Hope to see your show soon, and good luck to you and your team. Positive energy your way, sir. Charlene says the Shenandoah and Nile rivers are the only rivers that flowed north. Both considered magical by the Egyptians and the Native Americans.
Yep.
I believe it.
Oh, and it's like, all that kind of stuff where it's, imagine like coming across rivers and streams and stuff, and they all flow one way, and then you come across another one, and it flows another.
What did you tell me when we looked at that map yesterday? That showed you that
like
where that burial mound was in that park system, the Cuyahoga River, that part looked like a serpent. I mean, hey, you never know. They were more in tune with the earth than we are when we came over. We're just Puritan, uptight assholes that came over and had witch trials for no effing. But anyway,
all kinds of craziness.
All kinds of craziness we brought over here.
The history of people is pretty insane.
It is. That was a series too, a history of people.
Yeah.
That was crazy series. I say. I love Bigfoot. Oh, yeah, Linda, David. I don't know if David's still in here, but David Hensley, he's part of the EVP Mediums and Paranormal Road podcast. He is a very into the cryptids and the Bigfoot. So, yes, we've been talking about that tonight too. And I don't know if David's still in here. While I was out doing my explorers recently of the abandoned trucks, I did hear some unusual knocking, not of the woodpecker type. So if you're still in there, I thought I would like to share that with you, sir. I'm going to sing Snake River instead if Moon River. Sorry. Oh, you guys have been great tonight. We love you all. We got about, 7 minutes left?
Yep.
If anybody wants to throw down a last story or thought or a theory, we'd love to hear it. Share it down there in the chat. Oh my God, it was such a we always have great shows, but I think with these shows, like tonight's show, we can share various things, not just one particular topic, but sometimes we'd like to do that one particular topic.
I don't think there's ever been a show where we picked a topic where we didn't talk about all the other things, though. So
right.
I don't think that's anything we got to worry about.
No, that's true.
We've You can go back and check the tape on a lot of those, and we've covered
a lot
of
different
Yeah.
subjects. Yeah,
Just because we throw a topic out, it doesn't mean it's going to be the whole thing we talk about tonight.
That's just true.
Just means that was something we had some stories we specifically wanted to address and that kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
and it also helps to make fun names.
Yeah, it's true. We came up with a lot of great sayings lately.
Oh well, hey man, wine by the fire is always good, Linda. We're glad you're back.
What's the no quarter banner? Is it Zeppelin or Lord of the Rings or what she's talking about?
Oh, the no quarter banner, that's actually a recreation of a Blackbeard flag. So it's an old pirate flag, and no quarter is the company or no quarter is like the it's an old pirate thing. Let me look it up real quick. But
and this one next to him, that's an Edward Teach interpretation of what he flew on his ships back in the pirate days. And we thought these kind of represent they're very cool. They represent us. I mean, the Lord back then.
So yes, to give no quarter is a phrase that started with a literal meaning and eventually became an idiom with a figurative meaning. To give no quarter means to show no mercy, to award no clemency. To give no quarter originally applied to military situations. So in a situation with pirates, obviously it meant, show no mercy, kill everybody, take everything you need. That kind of stuff.
What did they used to say when they capture somebody? I forget that saying. This is on the Pirates of the Caribbean. They can give them a chance to talk.
Parlay.
There we go. That was one of the unwritten pirate laws. Parlay.
That's a snake on that flag right there. The one behind us. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's the "Don't Tread on Me."
This one, yeah, "Don't Tread on Me." That's a very popular flag wave.
Yeah, this one's got a goblet with flames on it and a spear going into a broken heart, and then it's a horn skull. And that one's got a horn skull guy, and he's holding, I believe, is a goblet or a drinking thing
as well. Yeah,
and it's also again another spear going, and all that is all kind of the pirate symbology and everything.
Yeah, that was the whole.
We're on this.
Edward Teach.
Yeah, that one's the Teach. That one's the Blackbeard.
Yep. Because he showed me that, and I thought that was cool. It's like, you know what? We could use another one on that side. So I found this one is like, that's very interesting. I like that one too. That kind of like the symbology is almost similar, but different forms. And the skeleton's hanging out with his flag. The devil skeleton. He wants a hug. So if you guys want to give him a hug, he's right here. He's reaching out for a hug.
So
go ahead.
Here's the tale of the Blackbeard.
Okay, go ahead.
So the spear that the horned creature carried in its left hand was a not so metaphorical symbol for the violence about to occur, while the red heart and blood symbolized the no quarter would be given in the attack. And it was the perfect flag for Blackbeard because he was renowned for not letting anybody live,
Charlena says good night. Great show.
Oh, good night, Charlena.
Thank you, Charlena.
We're going to be wrapping up here in a couple minutes anyways, so thanks for sticking around. So yeah, that's the symbolism there, and it would have been the same for both messages, trying to send that kind of message. I'm sure Paul's also I'm sure they just thought it looked edgy, so they liked it too.
Oh, they all were pretty creative back then.
Yeah, very, very big edgelords,
And that's where the crossbones, or that was they said that was more of a Templar symbol.
Yeah, then it was just,
and
it pops up across all kinds of things throughout history. I mean, it's one of those things that any symbols of death have been reoccurring for multiple different, civilizations, time periods, all that kind of stuff, because a skull is an easy symbol of death.
Linda says, I met Jack Sparrow. He looked down my blouse. He probably would have done that. Oh my God.
Sounds like his kind of stuff.
Yeah, sounds like his guy. He probably, why is the rum always gone?
Yeah.
Why is the rum always gone? Why is the twisted tea always gone? Why is the IPA always gone? These guys over here always.
Yeah, we always blame these guys, man. These jokers back here tend to go a little crazy
when we're not having a show. They do it behind the scenes. Sometimes they're flat on their face, or Wolfman falls on his face a lot. We've
definitely come down, and they all seem to be in a different position. So it's some Toy Story stuff, but it's a little darker of a tale. Even though the Toy Story movies are pretty dark anyways, they get a little dark there at the end.
Oh, she went to Disneyland. That's what it was. Because they had a
One of the actor Jack Sparrows.
Jack Sparrow.
Well, not Johnny Depp.
Not Johnny Depp though.
He does dress up a lot as the character, and he's been known to show up at children's hospitals and all kinds of good stuff.
That's very.
He's a very popular man. Yeah,
he is.
He's played tons of characters too.
Very popular.
Now he's in the Harry Potter universe.
Is he?
He plays Grindelwald.
Oh yes, that's right. Okay, the newer ones.
Yep.
Okay. Gotcha.
Well, guys, it's getting near that time, so we want to just wrap it up with a good thing. Just to kind of close out, we've been posting up some new stuff. If any of you guys have an Instagram, you can check us out on Instagram at By the Burial Ground. I'm trying to put some new content up there and just kind of keeping some of the same stuff we've been talking about, but it's always nice to just scroll through and catch a quick story about a haunted location or some kind of fun thing, or a quick reminder of the show coming up and stuff. And we'll be talking about some of the things more in depth, some of the studio items I've been taking pictures of to talk more about that as well. So keep an eye out. And if you've got a smartphone, we put up some backgrounds of some of the tarot decks we have, so you can have a cool tarot background on your phone.
Actually, I saved them on my computer because I was downloading from my phone, and now they're on this computer.
Nice. So yeah, definitely check those out. We've got new videos coming out on the YouTube soon. We just put some best ofs up of some of the previous weeks of the live streams. We have some investigation stuff we'll be talking about, and plenty of stuff on the way. So just keep an eye out, guys.
We love you all. Stay safe out there. We'll see you for Follower Friday. So
yep, we'll see you back Friday.
Love y'all. Bye.
Have a night, guys. And then that's the YouTube.